If we sum up all these direct material, direct labor, and factory overhead, this will be called total cost used in production. Like direct material cost was 60, direct labor cost was 46, and overhead cost was 55. By adding these, we will get total cost used in production, that is 161. We will add ending material inventory, that is 38 rupees. So the material available will become 60 plus 38, 98 rupees. As compared to it, if we say what will be the total labor cost, we will add 46 plus 15, it will be our total labor cost. Total labor cost is equal to, remember, total labor cost is not the part of total manufacturing order cost sheet, but just to explain you that this was the direct labor and indirect labor cost was 15, so their sum will be a 51. The total labor cost will be 51, total material available cost will be 98, and as I told you that overhead incur or overhead allocated cost was 55. At both place this value is same, so we can say total overhead cost is 55. Then we will less beginning material inventory, that was 30. So it means the material that was purchased will be 68 rupees. Material cost was 68 rupees. It means job order manufacturing cost sheet reflect as the material purchased value, total material direct material cost. If we say what is the total material cost, it will be a 60 plus indirect material cost was 30. So the total material cost will be 90 rupees. Till here we have calculated the material purchasing cost, total material cost, total labor cost. Now if we say for job number 2 the raw material was converted into goods in process inventory, for that purpose we will add these three costs, that is 10 direct material cost, 12 direct labor cost, and 25 overhead cost. So by adding these we will get 47 rupees cost that was of goods in process inventory. And as compared to it, for job number 1, all the costs that are incurred to complete a finished goods. That job number 1 has produced a finished good. That cost was 6 plus 5 11, 11 plus overhead cost 22. So finished goods cost is 22. If we glamorate what is the difference between goods in process inventory and finished goods inventory, 22 rupees cost of finished goods inventory is that is ready to be sale, but it is the cost. The profit is still need to be included. As compared to it, goods in process inventory, that is partially completed and its cost is 47 rupees. This was all about total order manufacturing cost that started with job number 1 and end at finished goods. As compared to it, the job number 2 is started by direct material, direct labor and overhead, and it stops at goods in process inventory. As compared to it, job number 3, job number 4 and job number 5 is still uncompleted. There is further need of completion in raw materials of job number 3, job number 4 and job number 5. So if I sum up all this, the total job order manufacturing cost sheet is used to find out the material purchase cost, goods in process inventory cost and finished goods cost. Then comes the concept of under applied and over applied overhead. As discussed earlier, in job order manufacturing cost format, there was the concept of incurred and allocated cost. The difference between incurred cost and allocated cost is this cost is our prediction, that overhead cost will be our predicted amount. As compared to it, the increments will be calculated or will be shown in raw material, goods in process and finished goods. The increments of overhead is distributed between raw material, goods in process and finished goods, but allocation is on the base of prediction. That before starting our jobs, we just allocate the cost of overhead to the jobs, and after the results, like if I say in our job order cost sheet, the indirect material was 30 rupees, indirect labor was 15 rupees and other overheads were 10 rupees. As compared to it, our total overhead became 55 rupees. If we say the allocated overhead was 60 rupees, like we do prediction, and the cost was of 60 rupees and increments was 55 rupees. What is the difference between them? The difference is of 5 rupees. This means the overhead applied, that is allocated, is under applied. We predicted that the overhead cost will be 60 rupees, but their increments will be 55. This 5 rupees is still remaining to be adjusted in these three heads to complete our overhead cost. This is the concept of under applied. Like our prediction is 60 rupees and the increment is 55 rupees, still there is 5 rupees cost is there that is needed to be added in this. The method to adjust the under applied, there are two methods. One method is to pass entry cost of goods sold 5 rupees and factory overhead cost will be 5 rupees credit. What will be the result of this entry? That our CGS will increase with 5 rupees. It means the total cost will become, so total CGS will become 60 rupees. That was the allocated overhead cost. This is the first method. By passing the entry you can adjust the under applied overhead. As compared to it, the other method is you will calculate the percentages of raw material inventory, goods in process inventory, and finished goods inventory. If I say raw material inventory percentage is 25, goods in process inventory percentage is 50%, and finished goods percentage is 25%. You will calculate for raw material 5 multiplied by 25%, 5 multiplied by 50%. You will write here raw material goods in process and finished goods. This will be the debit side, and on credit side you will write factory overhead. That is 5 rupees, and here you will find out the values. It will be a 2.5 and it will be a 1.25 1.25 rupees. The first method is to directly pass the entry. The second method is to pass the entry on the percentage ratios of raw material head, goods in process head, and finished goods head. This is the method to adjust the under applied overhead. As compared to it, if we discuss about over applied overhead, the gap is this. Suppose our estimation of allocated overhead cost is 50 rupees and the increment is 55 rupees, that is above. So this overhead will be called over applied overhead, and we have calculated or we have predicted less overhead cost, that is 50, and actually in increments the cost raised to 55. Then these two methods will be reversed to adjust over applied overhead We will pass entry factory overhead with 5 rupees and cost of goods sold will be 5 rupees. It means our CGS or cost will decrease by 5 rupees. Second method, as I said earlier, factory overhead 5 rupees debit and the same percentage ratios will be credited. Debit, credit, debit, credit. Factory overhead, raw material, goods in process, and finished goods. It is the method to adjust the over applied overhead. This is all about today's lecture. You need to focus on these methodologies, these entries, these treatments. In our next lecture, we will practice the numericals. Allah Hafiz.